I'm probably butchering your last name. Castellino? Okay. Castellino really is a wonderful human being. She works for Reed Charlotte with Monroe Richardson, who happens to be my neighbor here. But Sonya is just, she's a rock. She's spoken to our club before, I believe last year, maybe even the year before last, and spoke to us about Reed Charlotte and what it is that they're doing in the community. We are so fortunate to have an organization like Reed Charlotte, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate our partnership, our ongoing partnership with them. Jenny and I have participated and do participate in the HELPS program, the tutoring program, and it's just been so beneficial to see the impact that the tutoring has had on these third graders. When Sonya spoke to us before, I think she shared with us that kids who don't pass those end of grade tests at the third grade level are 4 times more likely to drop out in high school, which is a staggering statistic. And it highlights the importance of why we need to help these kids be successful. They really need help. A lot of the kids are English as a second language. And if we don't provide them the help and the support they need at these during these formative years, we are literally setting them up for failure. So I see it as almost a moral obligation for us to participate in helping these kids succeed, because otherwise we're creating problems that we'll have to deal with as a society much later. And that's not in anyone's best interest. Sonya is a native Charlottean. She's proudly and successfully attended Charmex schools. She's worked as an educator in New York City, Eastern North Carolina, and in Charlotte, and has served in a variety of roles from classroom teacher to resident principal since 2002. She co-founded a small high school in Manhattan, which continues to educate students today. She's coached teachers to improve instructional practices in grades K through 12, with subjects ranging from music to chemistry. Most recently, she was a curriculum coordinator for Project LIFT. She holds a bachelor's degree from Mount Holyoke College and 2 master's degrees from Columbia University and Teachers College. Sonya lives in Huntersville with her husband Sam, their bibliophile son Dalton, and their dog Chai. Sonya's grandmother taught her to read when she was 3 years old using McGuffey primers, one of my favorites. Her favorite childhood books are Babar the Elephant and Curious George series. So Sonya, again, many thanks for agreeing to participate on such short notice. We actually reached out to Sonya on Tuesday and said, hey, we don't have a program for Friday. Can you speak? And she willingly agreed to do it. I'm so happy to have her here with us. She's one of the smartest, nicest people I know. I'm honored to call her a friend and a partner with Reed Charlotte. So Sonya, thank you.
Wow, you really should have just stopped after my name. That's just mumbo jumbo. Thank you so much for having me. Quick little transition thing. Jenny, should I go ahead and share my screen? Is that okay? All right, so give me 1 second to get that part right. Okay, so I was going to share a video, but I'm not. So hopefully that means that this will all go much more smoothly than when video is involved. But thank you so much, Rotarians, for having me. I can hardly believe it, but I think it was almost 2 years ago when I came and spoke to you, and I can't believe how much has happened in everybody's lives since then. The reason that I agreed to come, besides the fact that it is extremely, is because Kevin and Jenny have been amazing allies, advocates, and examples in supporting children in our community and really rolling up their sleeves to do it. They make it look joyful. They make it look easy. Jenny has been wheeled up and down flights of stairwells and stuff to be able to make her tutoring sessions. And it really made a difference. In fact, your eagerness to become reading tutors with the HELPS tutoring program so early on supported that school whereby they were kind of hesitant to do it at all the first year. And then when we rolled on to the second year, they wanted to get that tutoring program going for an additional grade level of students. And they wanted to start on the first day of school so that they could get more tutoring sessions in. And so one or two committed individuals really can make a difference. And that's why I really wanted to clear my calendar and be with you here today. I am coming to you live from my dog's bedroom. So if you hear any growling, it's him dreaming in the background. And I'm sorry, that's just the way things roll these days. Okay, so today's topic is how can you help with reading this summer? Just to walk you through, I'm going to do quick 3 kind of brief things. First, I want to update you on what we're doing now. I know that this is a good space for you guys to get some updates. And then I'm going to punch a couple of times some specific help that we need from anybody and everybody here. And then I'll leave at the end for questions. Hope that seems doable. And then Kevin and Jenny, what should the end be so that I don't run over and I leave enough time for questions? When should I stop and leave time?
I'm sorry, I had to unmute myself. So
Okay.
actually you have until like midnight tonight. That's fine with us. I think, nobody else is doing anything. So no, so seriously, 25 minutes or something like that. That's absolutely fine.
Gotcha. Okay. So for those of you who don't know us, Read Charlotte is a 10-year initiative that coordinates, integrates, and aligns people, resources, and data. And we're working on, some people might call us like a backbone organization, working on increasing 3rd grade reading proficiency, and with a pretty ambitious but important end goal to double from where it was several years ago at 40% to get it to 80% by 2025. Because as Kevin stated, it's important for our community, and gosh darn it, kids deserve it. So that's what we do in a nutshell. And we have 3 major objectives that we've come to understand a lot more clearly. We get more kids ready to learn to read, because you have to be ready to learn as you enter school. Then when they're in school, we work on coordinating initiatives to help more of the K-3 children in school to progress to reading proficiency. And then we try to also influence the system, preparing it to scale impact. And like I said, every person's effort helps. So the tutoring that Kevin and Jenny do on a regular basis ends up influencing that school to stay in the game. That school talks to their other principal friends. More schools end up incorporating the program. More children get served. And that's how it goes. In order to get these 3 major objectives accomplished, our executive director, Monroe Richard, he is a data and statistics guy. And after doing a lot of research, he found evidence-based practices lead us to these 5 that as a community we need to pour into and do them really well for kids to raise that literacy proficiency rate. The first is to support great teaching in the school system, encourage home literacy routines, and we tend to do that directly to families, provide high quality targeted tutoring, such as the HELPS tutoring program, Augustine Literacy Project, Heart Math. We know that reading and math have a correlation, and so you don't have to focus on just one. Kids need help in every area. Building home libraries and stopping summer reading loss. So those are specific things the last time I came to talk to you that are still true, still need help in these areas. Since the last time I came and talked to you, we've been able to add more strategies and programs to making sure that kids in every one of these age ranges are getting coverage for literacy support. So I know there's a lot to read on here. You don't have to read it all, but I just want you to see that for any given age range, we have coordinated people who are already doing work. We have encouraged who were thinking about getting into supporting literacy, and we have connected people across to be able to expand programs. Those are some of the things that we do day to day. All right, and we were on our way plugging along, like a lot of everybody on this call, and then we hit COVID. And since then, we have been even more worried about how student learning has been especially impacted since March. McKinsey put out a report just a couple of weeks ago on what it might look like for children who are impacted from these changes since March in their learning. So here are some of the big points. By this fall, these are some of the learning losses we can expect. For white students, 6 months of learning loss as they enter the fall, assuming they enter fall in fall. For Hispanic students, 9.2 months. For Black students, 10.3 months. And across gender and racial lines, and even higher impact on students who are most vulnerable, low-income students. Okay. So this doesn't mean this will happen, but according to math and statistics, this is the way that we're. So what this did was have our small organization kind of take a look at what we were already planning on doing based on the data that we had. So here you'll see a chart of results for CMS schools at the end of last school year, how many of them had what we would consider adequate or acceptable college and career, that's what CCR stands for, college and career levels of proficiency for their kids. Only one elementary school in CMS had a proficiency of 80% and higher for their students. The bulk of schools in CMS, elementary schools, have 59% or below of their students who are performing at college and career ready levels. And so we knew that we had our work cut out for us. This for COVID, what existed, and now we know that COVID has presented additional challenges. Here's one challenge that we didn't see coming until it came upon us. So we have the additional challenge of, are there a bulk of schools that aren't where they need to be yet, but now some learning programs that were a huge part of learning these for kids over the summer are being scaled back dramatically this summer. We know at the end of all of this that our conclusion is that literacy is going to be a huge, huge part and need in recovery from the effects of COVID for kids. I know this sounds really daunting, but I'm about to give you really good news for the rest of this presentation. We're actually more optimistic about hitting our goal in 2025. We go with this phrase that Monroe uses that he stole from somebody else about never miss an opportunity. So here's our opportunity. Parents, since the beginning of time, have looked for ways to support their child in being the best that they can be, right? And so before COVID, back in April, Monroe likes to do these searches on Google where he can see what people in a certain area have been searching the most. And how do I help my child with reading has always been in the top 3 or so. I think it's been creeping down a little bit with anxieties creeping up in our society, a lot of different issues popping up, but reading is still in the number 6. And then even as we move through COVID up till May 31st, it's still in the top 10. So it went from 3 to 6 to 10. It's still there. Parents still for resources on reading and still want to help their children with reading. So we need your help with the opportunities that we've developed and any ones that you see out there to continue investing in tutoring programs. That's something that Rotarians do very well. And so we're asking you to continue that. We're asking you to continue investing in summer learning programs, whether you donate money or helping them work around COVID right now, or you are actually actively running one. Continue to invest in getting students books through virtual programs, through book giveaways, through Promising Pages work. We love them and work closely with them. Continue to invest in birth to 5 programs so that children are coming to school more ready to learn to read. And now I'd like to introduce our latest one, Spread the Word About Reading Checkup. So what is a reading checkup, you might be asking yourself? With the recent end of the school year and the changes to the summer learning options that I just mentioned, and families' continued desire to help their kids with reading, we were planning on doing this anyway, but we feel, this is why we're so optimistic, it's a really good time to get a reading checkup. And we're asking you to promote and support families in getting a reading checkup. I'm going to explain to you in a second what that is. So back in April, we got wind of a tool that Monroe had been following for several years, being available to the public in a very different way, direct to families. And it has been heavily researched and being used through Department of Education grants. It does 4 things that we knew we needed to be doing to help students with reading recovery. It identifies each child's current reading level for rising kindergarten through 4th graders. It identifies areas of focus to increase that student's reading proficiency, that specific child's reading proficiency. It then provides targeted activities that can be done with an adult or independently with the child in the family's homes. And then you can adjust the activities monthly as you see your student progressing by taking just 2 short quizzes. So we knew these 4 things needed to be done over the summer in order to help students recover from their reading loss. And then we found that this program got released and available to us. So this is what it is, and I'm going to give you a super, super short walkthrough, not based on a video, just with me. You would begin at readingcheckup.org to start giving your child a reading checkup. And then you would scroll down to the bottom of the page and you're going to see 2 simple steps. First, you'd access quizzes to get your quiz results, and then you'd access the activities to dive into finding activities for your child and then running them. After taking both quizzes, you would get instant results for your child in the form of colors on a pie chart. And it would tell you if your child needed all 4 of these types of practice. So you would see all 4 colors. And then it would tell you in what proportions your child needs. You then go access step 2 on the reading checkup page that I'd shown you before, and you could start beginning to choose activities from each of the colors that were on your child's results. On each activities page, you'd find several choices of activities. And then families actually have the power to select activities that they want for their child to practice based on what they like what is that parent and child going to enjoy doing, and what will engage your child. You know your child best, and so does your child like to wiggle and move around a lot, so they'd enjoy a more active activity, or does your child like puzzles, so something that looks like they're putting puzzles together. So it's giving you choices of what you can do with your child based on what you know about your child. In addition to providing the reading checkup itself and access to the quizzes and the resources, we have a gorgeous and helpful FAQ page on the readingcheckup.org site. We just held our first Reading Checkup Live support session for families yesterday, and we'll be running 2 each week at least throughout the summer. And we're going to continue to curate resources and supports for families so that they can access the quizzes and look for resources to engage their children. So getting back closer to the original ask of, well, what can we do to help? We've already engaged community partners as we developed the reading checkup. We actually worked with Augustine Literacy Project, the group that created the main tool that we've been using, Learning Ovations, and then the Helps Education Fund that Kevin and Jenny work with to do their tutoring. We worked with them to develop the reading checkup, and then we started to bring in partners across Charlotte, a coalition, to promote the reading checkup and support it. And we asked people, we sent out emails to these partners a couple of weeks ago saying, will you promote and support this with the families that you work across Charlotte, Mecklenburg? And said yes, and here's how many families reach, and here are the zip codes that it will reach. We popped your name on the website to show your support. And out of all of the Rotary groups that we reached out to, and I at least myself reached out to 3 in the Charlotte area, the first and the only one to come back to us with a heck yeah is yours. And I am very, very appreciative. And I wanted to show you that your name is proudly displayed on our page here. So the reason we asked for zip codes is because we're going to be tracking how we are spreading the reading checkup across Charlotte. Our goal is to saturate the market of rising kindergarten through 4th grade families with this free resource to help them recover over the summer from reading loss. And when we looked at what is an ambitious but meaningful saturation rate for people to get this resource and use it, we're shooting for 25%. And that 25% means we need to reach 15,000 families across Charlotte, Mecklenburg. So we this map with community partners to just let them know that we're looking for a community partnership across all sectors of Charlotte. And that's why it's so important that that page of partners grows and continues to remind and support families all summer long. They're going to need to hear it multiple times to use the reading checkup and how you use it, and to keep trying, and how important it is, and how easy and fun it can be. So again, we really need your help, and we are excited that you're even asking what you can do to continue to invest in tutoring programs. And I put here, there's going to be various methods of volunteerism that Kevin kind of touched on. The school system itself is not sure yet what it's going to look like to reopen schools, aside from the fact that something will start on August 17th. And so they're very busy preparing for several different methods that school might look like to reopen. But there will be a place and a need for community members to get on in there. And it might not look like what you were used to before. It may be virtual. It may be through a different avenue. It may be through advocacy. It may be through partnership of, here's the problem that we have, who has time to come up with a solution. And so I also put on here bolstering partnerships with individual schools, owning a school, saying to them, I know that we donated book bags, or I know we served meals here. What else is on your plate that you want to accomplish, and how can we help? And, you know, of course, we'd love it to be, how can we help your kids with reading? But any help is help that kids need. And so just bolstering your partnership so that when schools know what to ask for, that they know they can come to you for that is really, really an important way of volunteering and helping. Continue to invest in summer learning programs, access to books, birth to 5 programs. And now you know a little bit more about what I mean when I say spread the word about reading checkup. So I have sent this presentation and a media toolkit that we have that could help you or any organization you're associated with to spread the word, as well as the partnership commitment form. I've sent those to Jenny and Kevin, and that means that whenever you want, you should be ready to take action. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. So you can see my home office again. And I will look in the chat and see if there's any questions, or I don't know if you guys do chat or you come off mute to ask questions.
We do a little bit of both.
Okay.
So first of all, Sonia, I want to say thank you for awesome presentation. It's incredible. When I look at the statistics on the impact of COVID on our kids across races, but primarily in across economic classes, and the impact it can have on people who don't have the economic resources, it's just amazing, and it's incredible. So yes, to Sonia's point about us being advocates with Read Charlotte, we are. Jenny actually did her first. We sat on the information to be shared on our webpage until the rollout date, which I think was June 8th. But we did roll it out. We plan to roll it out. We're going to keep plugging this and pushing it in the 28134 zip code area. But we are looking for other ways that obviously we can support this initiative, because our kids will be playing catch up. There's no question that it's going to be all kids. You can see the impact that this will obviously have on Title I schools. So that's really, for the school that we tutor at, Sterling, it's very important to us that we do everything that we can.
I'd like to make a plug too for schools that are still have high needs but aren't Title I, because there are so many schools that do qualify for Title I in our city and our state. There are schools that have serious needs. Greenway Park is an example. And so, any school you're interested in is going to have populations to serve. So don't limit yourself. If you're interested, or your children or your grandkids go to a certain school, or you live closer to a school, it's still going to be time and energy well spent.
That's awesome. Do you have a list, Sonia, of schools where the need is greatest that perhaps are not Title I schools?
We do. We actually have a list of 61 schools that we're focused. And let me talk to Monroe and then get that list to you.
Okay, awesome.
I'll make sure that goes in our newsletter and on our website or wherever we need to put it.
Any questions for Sonia?
Yes, this is Daryl. Are the schools targeted? These are mostly just elementary schools.
Yes, yes, we're focused on elementary schools because of our mission to get to third grade reading proficiency levels.
Thank you.
And I saw Kelly.
Yeah. Hey, I was just going to say that if Monroe, if that's not a list that you guys want to send out and make public, I don't know why, but obviously I have that list and can help steer the club into the right schools. So.
Thank you, Kelly.
That would be great. And I'm sorry, Barbara.
Wait, you gotta unmute. I think she's froze. Barb, can you unmute yourself?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Wonders of technology. I was wondering what form the tutoring or help to the children takes in regard to the coronavirus, where we're social distancing and everything. Is it online, or do you meet the children in some specific place and help them with reading, or what? How does it actually work?
Mm-hmm. Are you asking about for the reading checkup initiative that I just talked about, or are you asking about in general what options are there?
I'm asking about both, really. It's like, how do you, well, I imagine this summer when the school is not meeting, that it is like an online sort of thing. That sounds like it would be. And then what happens once school starts? I mean, I don't know how the program actually works.
Yeah, sure. So for reading checkup, we've made technology a minimal kind of requirement for it. It actually just needs you to have a smartphone or access to a web browser to initially take the quizzes. And the quizzes only take about 15 minutes, and then you get instant results. And then you can still use your smartphone to scroll through the list of activities and pick them. And the activities that Read Charlotte has curated, when you click on that step 2 part, are family friendly and use household materials. So that resource was meant to go straight to families and anybody who is already directly supporting families to be able to practice in your own home on your own time. We have shared this with partners who are doing summer programming and have staff or tutors that are already connected with them. And each group has been invested in trying to figure out how to connect their volunteers on their own. There are some groups like Freedom Schools has canceled all of their regular camps, and they're just going to do pop-up events to support kids and families. And so I think, you know, if you're interested in volunteering, you would reach out to the specific summer program that you know and see what their volunteer routes are for this summer. Whereas Heart Math Tutoring has told us that they've already found a way to do virtualing. I don't know the specifics of it, but it sounds like if you're keyed in, if you're already with Heart Math Tutoring, that they have methods that they want to tell you about. Most everybody is still trying to figure out what can they carry out and how. They're still trying to figure that out. And so it's not an easy time if you're saying, I don't already have a place I'm volunteering with. It's a lot easier right now if you're connected with an organization to reach out to them and say, what is your virtual plan? I will tell you, it's going to be easier to find a way to connect during the summer right now than it is for knowing what's happening in the school year coming up. Every organization is waiting to hear what the school system has to do or is going to do. And the school system itself is waiting to hear and learn more about which decision they need to make. They're just preparing like a plan A, B, and C for the children. And then we'll be able to invite volunteers in to help here and there. So it's going to be a lot easier to advertise, right, as the volunteer right now, to advertise the reading checkup to families that you know, whether it be your kids, your grandkids, your church members, an organization that you work with, something like that. And then as they learn about it, find out what they need. We do have an organization called BCDI that is going to be serving 11 schools in the East Charlotte and Northeast Charlotte region. And they're going to be doing some in-person events where they're going to pop up at grocery stores and give out practice kits to families for these activities. And they're going to plan things all summer. And so you could reach out maybe to BCDI and say, I'd like to help with your volunteer activities. I could make the activity bags if that's all you're comfortable with. I can show up at the site to help families with it because I'm okay with being out there and wearing a mask. So I think those are like those are the best avenues I could think of right now. Does that help?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hey, thank you, Sonia. Barbara, thank you for your question. Kelly Cates, can you hear me? Kelly.
Hi.
Kelly,
We're here.
just great. I just wanted you, if you could just very briefly give the club a summary of the project that we're working on and that will be submitted for a district grant because it ties right into what Sonia is talking about and how we access children over the course of the next few months. So if you could just share a couple of minutes with the club.
Sure. It is a program that we're calling Feed the Body, Feed the Mind. And we are focused specifically on organizations and sites that distribute food to families who are have food insecurity issues. So we're already partnering with like a program through Atrium Health up in University City called Kids Eat Free. We will also be right now, hopefully going back through the summer feeding sites through CMS and distributing books through those as well. But primarily, we really want to focus on the food pantry. So Loaves and Fishes that has, I don't know, like 60-some food pantries. I can't remember the exact
Something like
number.
that, yeah.
You know, Charlotte Family Housing, there are places that, you know, kind of have stocked room food, because we want to make books available to children and families who are coming to get food, because we believe that, you know, after food, books are one of the foundations and a critical need. Just like food feeds the body, you know, books feed the mind. So that's the kind of the gist of it. And that's what we're asking to do. We're going to distribute 5,000 books and make them readily available into food pantries that are willing to participate with us.
Great. Thank you.
We'll also be distributing things like Read Charlotte materials on the bookshelves. So,
Thank you, Kelly. We certainly appreciate that. We're excited about the potential that has, and there's just so many opportunities here. We're looking at an incredibly challenging landscape. Sonya, it was wonderful to hear that you guys are optimistic about 2025. I am so happy to hear that. It's good to get some good news out of this. But as you know, as we go back to that whole economic mobility report from 2015 and the importance of that and how we lift our kids up, it certainly makes all the sense in the world to do everything that we can to promote education, which is one of our 6 areas of focus for Rotary. So there's just a natural tie-in for us, and we so appreciate everything that you and Read Charlotte are doing to help the children of this community.
And thank you to Promising Pages and as one of our strongest partners in this work, and to all of you who are working with us too. We can't do it without partners.
Completely agree. I also want to toss out that Charlotte Speech and Hearing shared your program as well.
Yes.
So we
Thank
thank
you.
them for that. We're just grateful for all the support, and we are really grateful. We don't want to be the only Rotary Club that is involved in this. We honestly don't, with education and literacy being one of our focus areas. We want to get more clubs on board, and I have been in conversations with our district leadership to try to make that happen. So we will continue to push that, because we do think it's that important.
I also do the district newsletter, and I will make sure that that information is in the district newsletter as well.
Thank you.
Get it in there one way or the other. All right, folks, thank you so much. I want to thank John Behringer, John, for your invitation today. It was especially impactful. I want to thank each of you for taking the time to be with us today. And again, finally, thanks, Sonya, for being our speaker today. We will disseminate